Schlitz ruins its own beer. In 1976, Schlitz was America's second largest brewer. Not second in the city, second in the entire country. CEO Robert Uihlein wanted to save money on production. His answer was corners. Malted barley got replaced with corn syrup. Cheap chemical stabilizers sped up brewing. On paper, faster brewing meant more profit. In the glass, it tasted like soap. Loyal drinkers noticed immediately. The foam was thin. The finish was metallic. Milwaukee bartenders started whispering about it. Competitors ran ads calling it the beer of shortcuts. Schlitz panicked and heated pasteurized bottles to extend shelf life. Under fluorescent store lights, they turned cloudy. By 1981, the number 2 beer in America had fallen to 7th place. The brand that made Milwaukee famous made itself a punchline. Nobody asked them to fix the recipe. It wasn't broken. Quaker Oats kills a brand it just bought. On November 2nd, 1994, Quaker Oats paid $1.7 billion for Snapple. CEO William Smithberg was certain it would be a perfect match. Quaker had turned Gatorade into a giant. Snapple would be next. But Snapple wasn't Gatorade. Snapple grew through quirky ads, corner stores, and small local distributors. It had personality. Quaker had spreadsheets. They forced Snapple into their giant supermarket distribution machine. Delivery slowed. Shelves went empty. The personality disappeared. Meanwhile, Coca-Cola and Pepsi launched their own iced teas and ate what was left. By 1997, Quaker had burned through more than $1.4 billion. Desperate, they sold Snapple for just $300 million. They paid $1.7 billion. They got back $300 million. Wall Street called it one of the worst acquisitions in history. Turns out, you can't put a quirky brand in a corporate box and expect it to survive. Decca Records turns down the biggest band in history. On January 1st, 1962, 4 young men from Liverpool walked into Decca Studios in London. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Pete Best recorded 15 songs hoping to land a record deal. Decca executive Dick Rowe listened, then told their manager that guitar groups were on the way out. He passed. He signed Brian Poole and the Tremolos instead. Within months, the Beatles found Parlophone. Under producer George Martin, they exploded. By 1964, they were the biggest band on Earth. Beatlemania swept the planet. Millions of records sold. Dick Rowe became the most famous wrong person in music history. He had them in the room. He let them walk out. Guitar groups were on the way out, he said. They were, just not those ones. Coca-Cola fixes something nobody thought was broken. On April 23, 1985, Coca-Cola changed its formula for the first time in 99 years. CEO Roberto Goizueta was fighting Pepsi in the Cola Wars. Blind taste tests said people liked a sweeter drink, so they made one. They were sure they had won. The backlash hit overnight. Loyal drinkers flooded phone lines. Angry letters poured in. Protest groups formed with names like Old Cola Drinkers of America. People hoarded original cans like the apocalypse was coming. Pepsi ran victory commercials. Coca-Cola executives panicked. Just 79 days after launch, they brought the original back and called it Coca-Cola Classic. New Coke quietly disappeared over the years. Its name became a warning label, used today whenever a company touches something nobody asked them to touch. Coca-Cola didn't just change a drink. They tried to swap out a childhood memory. Turns out people take that personally. Sony wins on quality and loses the war. On November 10th, 1975, Sony launched Betamax. The picture quality was sharper than anything else in stores. Chairman Akio Morita was convinced it would own every living room on Earth. There was one problem. Tapes lasted about an hour. Not enough for a movie. JVC launched VHS the following year and offered 2 hours, then 4. Consumers chose the longer tape. Sony made things worse by refusing to license Betamax to other manufacturers. JVC did the opposite. They signed deals with dozens of companies. Soon, VHS players were everywhere under every brand name imaginable. Video stores stocked VHS first. Betamax owners couldn't find movies to rent. By the mid-1980s, VHS controlled over 70% of the global market. Sony finally gave up in 1988. They had the better picture. They still lost. Turns out people would rather watch the whole movie than watch it in better quality. BlackBerry bets everything on a button. On June 26, 2007, just days before the iPhone launched, BlackBerry executives laughed at the idea of a touchscreen phone. CEO Mike Lazaridis believed users wanted keyboards, not glass. BlackBerry dominated business communication, secure email, a satisfying click with every keystroke. Executives and politicians swore by them. At first, nothing seemed broken. Emails still arrived instantly, keys still clicked. Loyal customers stayed. But younger buyers stopped asking for BlackBerries. Apple pushed touchscreens. Android pushed apps. BlackBerry pushed keyboards. The touchscreen models they eventually released felt clumsy. The App Store arrived too late. By 2013, market share had collapsed from 20% to under 1%. A company that once defined what a phone should be became a case study in what happens when confidence in yesterday blinds you to tomorrow. If you've made it this far and haven't lost your mind yet, smash that like button and subscribe. More disasters coming soon. Microsoft laughs at the iPhone. On January 9th, 2007, Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone. Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer went on camera and laughed. He called it overpriced. He said it would never get meaningful market share. At the time, Microsoft controlled over 70% of the mobile operating system market. They felt untouchable. At first, nothing seemed urgent. Windows Mobile still had corporate customers. Partnerships still held. Then, the iPhone's design and Android's open system moved faster than anyone at Microsoft took seriously. Windows Phone launched in 2010. Too late. Developers had already built their worlds on Apple and Google. Nobody was coming to build a third one. Ballmer spent $7.2 billion buying Nokia's phone business, hoping to catch up. Within 2 years, it was written off as a near-total loss. By 2016, Windows Phone's market share was effectively zero. The company that laughed at the iPhone spent over $7 billion learning it wasn't funny. Yahoo passes on Google twice. In 1998, Larry Page and Sergey Brin tried to sell Google to Yahoo for $1 million. Yahoo said no. Search was just a side feature, not a real business. 4 years later, Google had grown dramatically. Page and Brin offered to sell again, this time for $3 billion. Yahoo CEO Terry Semel said the price was too high and walked away. Yahoo tried building its own search tools. None of them came close. Google's cleaner design and smarter ads made it the front door to the entire internet. In 2004, Google went public, valued at $23 billion. Yahoo kept shrinking. By 2017, Verizon bought what remained of Yahoo for $4.48 billion. Google today is worth over $1.5 trillion. Yahoo passed on buying it for $3 billion, twice. The price was too high, they said. Sure was. Nokia bets on the wrong horse. On September 21, 2010, Nokia CEO Stephen Elop stood in front of his company and admitted the obvious. Nokia, once the world's biggest phone maker, was in serious trouble. 3 years earlier, Nokia controlled 40% of the global mobile market. Then the iPhone arrived. Then Android exploded. Nokia's software looked outdated. Developers avoided it like a bad review. Elop, a former Microsoft executive, bet everything on Windows Phone. He announced the partnership in 2011 and committed completely. Consumers ignored it. Developers ignored it. By 2013, market share had collapsed to below 5%. Microsoft bought the handset business for $7.2 billion. Less than 2 years later, the deal was written off as a near-total loss. A company that had shaped how the planet communicated went from ruling everything to owing nothing, all from picking the wrong partner at the worst possible time. Blockbuster passes on the future for $50 million. In September 2000, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph walked into Blockbuster's Dallas headquarters with a desperate offer: buy Netflix for $50 million. At the time, Netflix was mailing DVDs in red envelopes and losing money. Blockbuster had 9,000 glowing stores, Friday nights completely locked up, and billions rolling in. The CEO laughed them out of the room. Blockbuster kept the late fees, kept the stores, decided streaming was someone else's problem. At first, everything still looked fine. Then, broadband got faster. Netflix shifted to streaming in 2007. Customers followed. Blockbuster scrambled. Its own streaming service got killed by investors worried about costs. The late fees had already driven away goodwill. By 2010, Blockbuster was bankrupt. Today, Netflix is worth over $200 billion. There is exactly one Blockbuster left on the planet, in Bend, Oregon. People visit it like a museum, which, at this point, is basically what it is.